of Irelia, banning out a large portion of Wicked's champion pool. Hecarim now comes in up against Smitty J in the top lane, and wow, Fastfire bans in here. Rise and then Kalista will be the final ban from Denial.
Well, Woolite never was a particularly big Kalista player, but still feels like it's worthy of a ban in this game. Morgana will round out the bans, so where does this put us? Sivir first. I mean, Kalista banned. I'm just trying to sum up everything. Yeah, Sivir picked. So you have to assume Corki going to Gamers 2. You have to assume also Gamers 2 will prioritize some sense of top lane at some point, unless they want to try and see what Wicked's got left in his bag. Honestly, the only champions, yeah, you say Malphite. I think the one other than that before they go Malphite would be the Gnar. I think that's the other kind of Wicked champion recently, so expecting that to be picked up. Well,
there is the Nautilus coming in. Could be support, could be top lane, could be anywhere, but we have the Gragas, who will most likely be jungle.
It is a flex pick, and I guess there's a little bit more of a tell that it could be a flex pick by the fact that they didn't go for like an Alistar here. We saw in our previous game, we've seen just in general how high priority Alistar is when it comes to picks and bans rotations. And alongside that Gragas, either one is a particularly tanky top lane. Where does that leave us? You have to assume Rek'Sai is going to be the jungler for Betting Yoke going into this game. They've got the Sivir, so they can afford to look for some more hard engage, perhaps. Would go along with the Gnar if that's what they're looking for.
That would make sense, Stress, but we are looking towards these next two picks. Fresh has actually been locked in there by Cosq for Wendell Bow in the bottom lane, and just waiting on their next pick. They are looking at jungler currently. Have seen a lot of good performances over the board from the Echoes, but with Rek'Sai being up, why not just pick Rek'Sai? There comes in the other number out of the Gragas and the Rek'Sai, so that will be taken away here by Denial. So they have the bot lane and they have the jungle.
No real focus on poke. I mean, we talked about how kind of picks and bans has been fairly 5-12 centered. When looking at a lot of specifically challenger picks and bans phases, you have to also key in a lot more target bans, the likes of the Irelia. We see just in general a lot here in European Challenger Series, so that's not a ban you'd expect up at the top tier of the LCS, just because of how flexible a lot of the players are. But no real emphasis on the rest of the meta. No Varus, no Jace bans coming out yet, which we have seen in LCS just pretty much every game.
And there is a pick that we've seen many times on Smitty. It is Rumble.
Yeah.
Not banned away from them this time. Actually seen a fair bunch of bans away from Smitty recently from that Rumble. Vayne actually gets locked in. That'll be going onto Jesse, no doubt, in the bottom lane here. Will not be top lane for sure, as the Rumble came out. That also tells us where the Nautilus is going. Unless we somehow see Perks on the mid lane Rumble, but most likely going to be thrown into the top lane there. Last time I saw Vayne was candy banned from SK. It was a couple of weeks back.
Right. Yeah, yes, that was one of the times we've seen Vayne. Seen her a couple of times in EU. Yeah, Candy Panda played her, Niels played her in a handful of games as well. Mixed bag of results for Vayne. Although I don't particularly mind it too much. Into Sivir, it's not particularly bad, especially if they kind of pair that Nautilus down in the bottom lane with it. That's a fairly difficult set of trades to take in the bottom lane for the Sivir. So I'll have to see exactly whether that Nautilus... Yeah, it will be bottom lane, because Rumble is locked in as a top lane. You already went over that one. I was
yes, sir.
Checking my Rumble stats, and it turns out Smitty's only played it in one game so far in summer. Did see a lot in spring, though. And that's a very fast Jace lock-in into the Cassiopeia. Well, if there's one thing that you can kind of just assume is that Cassiopeia, although she will move around a lot, is fairly slow. She takes a shock blast or two, she's out of that fight.
Yep, Cosq is going to be very dead. But yeah, this is a Denial composition. Cosq on a Cassiopeia, Wicked on Gnar, Betong Yoka just on a meta jungler. Woolite, the difference here being Sivir, as he has not picked a Tristana again. And then Wendell Bow on Thresh.
It's the first time we've seen Woolite on Sivir in Challenger Series, at least. 5 games Tristana, 1 Kalista, 1 Corki. So we did actually have a Kalista game and didn't go so well. That's probably why they banned it. Ended that game 2-5-1.
Well, I doubt they banned it against Woolite. It was like, we're going to stop you from picking this guy.
Either that or Wicked and Woolite have conspired. That they were like, first pick me Kalista, go for it. But no, I don't think it. I think that was just the game. That may even have been week 1 against Team Dignitas, which may explain a fair amount of that one. But certainly this will just allow DNL to get themselves into the engages, obviously, look to set things up. Not sure exactly how I feel about their ability to fight against this Gamers2 team, though. Because when you look at it, poke coming from Jace, Rumble Equalizer makes it very difficult to fight. And then it's now on Jesse to kite back and make sure he's not in trouble, which I think is going to be a fairly tough task. But then again, there's no real... there's no like Maokai shutdown. There's no point and click real stun coming out from DNL, so it may be tricky.
Well, who gets onto Jesse realistically? You've got a Rek'Sai there. Nas going to be situationally good at getting in there, but there's a Nautilus and there's a Gragas there to stop them. So, going to be pretty hard from DNL to first get on Jesse. Yeah. And then Jesse just needs to, as you said, kite back.
However, and this is a big however, I don't feel like Jesse is the kind of AD carry where you could reliably say, okay, go late game and have him just feel comfortable 100% of the time. I think he's a solid AD carry, but he's not the likes that I would give a scaler to every single game, which is not what Gamers2 actually do. They pick a lot of Ezreal, Sivir, Corki. So this is really the first true test of Jesse on a very hyper-scaling AD carry.
It's also interesting because Woolite is playing against Jesse, and Woolite so far looks like he's suffered against better, both AD carries and better teams who are able to deal with an AD carry. And Woolite against the bottom tier AD carry has done great. Is Jesse again going to show today that he is a better AD carry and that can just deal with Woolite?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty good question overall.
Thanks, Stress.
Well, it's one that if I had an answer to, it would mean I'd have watched the game already, Carlos. And that hasn't happened, but we are paused in the game, is the thing. So we are just waiting on confirmation that we are going to go into game. So hopefully it won't affect us too much longer, but certainly that is the case. Oh, the place it rests on right now. Thankfully, you're not stuck on our faces. You're stuck on our lovely team composition graphics, so it can keep you...
but you will be in a minute, because remember to hop on Twitter and use those hashtags DNLWin or G2Win. And if we get into this game, we will be checking in with you. But now is our faces.
Oh no, you said the code word.
Now
everybody knows! No! Now everybody knows!
It's all gone wrong.
Yeah, just yeah, I was trying to find something I could follow up with, like, I don't say this word, but there was nothing funny. So I'm now in a situation where I have to do the even less funny thing, which is explain where I was going to go.
And that's where we are right now.
And it wasn't funny at all. But for an update with you guys, Gamers2, they were experiencing some lag at the beginning. So the game is paused while we are investigating the problem. They're investigating the problem. Be a bit weird if we were looking at
yeah, right now, we're just holograms. We're not even here.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
It's one of those days. It's one of those days.
Having a pretty good day today.
Everything makes sense. Yeah, I am as well. We're here in Challenger, 2 games in. Yep. It's a good spot to be in. This is a super hype game, though. This is like, this decides, if Gamers2 win this and secure second place right now for themselves, puts a good buffer on themselves to avoid Team Dignitas.
Avoid the Dignitas.
Because, like, if you're second, there's no way that Team Dignitas can face you until the finals. Because obviously they're either first or they're not going to fall to third at this point, looking at it, like, realistically. Yeah. It either means you're first or they're first.
Yes, pretty much. And that would be super, super good heading into this. But yeah, and then it puts the pressure onto DNL, onto Mouse as well, to try and get some wins and avoid that 4th spot. And we saw how hard that was. We were talking about it earlier about Origin last split. It's like, if you're in 4th, you're going to play 3rd place.
Good luck. Good luck. You better hope whoever loses at a 2nd and 3rd is the one you want. But certainly, there's a lot of moving around still to be done before playoffs. Still got 2 full weeks, well, 1.5 weeks of games right now, since it is 1 game in the books already from yesterday. That was a game that Gamers2 won yesterday, if you only just tuned in. We took a look back at yesterday's game just a few minutes ago, and certainly Gamers2 are in a good spot.
Yep, they definitely are in a good spot, have shown a lot of promise. They've also made a lot of roster changes as well. Which has been interesting because remember they made those roster changes after they were doing well and then kind of like went up and down a little bit, but now we're seeing some consistency now come back into the lineup. I still don't know where Gamers 2 like sit in the standings, because in this matchup against DNL, yes, they were even in the scoreboard, but in terms of the problems they had on their team, in terms of the subs looking like better on DNL, and then flipping and doing a 180, like, it's very much in flux in the top of the scoreboard.
Yeah, completely. And honestly, one thing that really, I don't know whether it's going to help or hinder this, is if you're swapping players in and out and things are shifting around in the meta, what with patch changes and stuff like that, I think it puts a lot of turmoil in the team. And certainly we are about to experience a pretty big shift from what we've seen in the meta, focused on the middle lane, which is pretty much the only consistent thing Gamers 2 have had recently.
Yeah,
is Perks. He's played a lot of poke, though. If that starts falling off, what does he then transfer over to?
Malzahar. No. I don't know.
Maybe. Hey, maybe.
Sayo's planted the seed in my head now, and I just want to see Malzahar and Bran.
That means I'm going to go home and all you're going to play is Malzahar.
No,
at the moment, you're on
Riven only.
It's really frustrating. But honestly, I think for a player like Perks, it opens up a world of opportunities for him. Yes, he has played Jace quite a lot. He's also played Azir a fair amount. So we just saw Sayo kind of itemizing differently on Azir with the Haunting guys. I'm interested to see now exactly how it's going to affect Perks once again. He's on Jace this game, so no AP item changes are going to affect his build. But certainly, how will it affect the matchup? We're going to have to find out.
That's a whole lot of theory, but now we're going to see it in practice. DNL heading onto the Rift here on the blue side, and on the red, it is Gamers 2 looking for another win, which would secure them second over DNL, and then DNL would have to scramble up against Mouse to try and net a couple more wins before the end of the round robin. But Gamers 2 currently 1 up in this series, and looking pretty good. Betong Yoka heading into the jungle here with CosQ, looking like we're going to see a fan from DNL, but Gamers 2 in a clump, maybe looking for a level 1 play.
Maybe. Let's take a look how this pans out, because Hybrid has been spotted by Betong Yoka, puts a ward down. Gamers 2 should be aware that they have been scouted out and are reacting, well, DNL are reacting on the bottom side of the map, because look at the Thresh, look at Sivir, pushing out to get some wards of their own.
Perks is sitting on a ward. Perks just got harassed by CosQ and is now backed off to that small bush. Smitty J, Jesse, Hybrid, and Maxlaw. The whole team is placing down wards, getting down vision. Meanwhile, Wendelbo was able to get that lane swap ward down. Actually don't know if that goes all the way to the side of the lane, so if Gamers 2 were to walk past it, then he might be able to do so. I think that one looks at the base gate a little more than anything, right?
It just about catches the side of the base gate and does not catch the wall.
It's the 50-50 play.
That's the one on the blue ward on the other side of the map is the one I'm talking about. This one, however, does catch both sides. Does not catch the base gate, though. So, little bit of a difference. You can see Woolite's trying to wait it out. It's not going to work because they've gone... Well, they've gone on time, which means that the ward works for them for Gamers 2. On the other side, however, Jesse managed to just avoid it all by not actually going through the base at all. So, kind of a win for Gamers 2 when it comes to getting the decision on whether they want to swap here. With Woolite heading up top, Wicked is here as well, so it leaves DNL in a very odd situation where they've got both their top and their bottom lane in the same place for now. And Woolite, well, Wicked did try and set up the freeze, should have just about got it.
Yeah, he definitely did just towards the end there. And will be now joining Betong Yoka in his jungle. We'll be taking away some of these camps. Just trying to get that over to Wicked for the experience at least. Bottom lane, Jesse and Hybrid will be farming away here, and likewise, not sure if they got the freeze because there was no one down there, so that will be pushing. And meanwhile, Wendelbo will be going back to base, it looks like, and probably duo laning with the bottom laner, and we'll be seeing that play. Mid lane, though, to see Perks and CosQ. CosQ back on his Cassiopeia, has played a bunch of Cassiopeia games. 2 split, played a lot of Ahri, Azir, played a lot of different champions in fact, but has had some pretty good performances on the Cass. Gone for Ghost this game. Perks has opted towards the Cleanse. We saw how good the Cleanse was actually against the Galio pick we saw from Beansu. In this matchup, we'll be able to get out of the hook, we'll be able to get out of the ultimate from CosQ as well. Lots of CC to get around.
And that Galio pick went all the way up to LCS now as well, with Giants playing it. But this is going to get a little bit messy here if Gamers 2 didn't spot out Denial. Now they're just going to back away. No reason to commit on this fight. The 4 vs 3 dive is a very tough one to even contemplate going for. So smart by Gamers2 not to commit to that. Basically, it means that Denial and Gamers2 just kind of both equally use their time. There's no real gain for either team, although the gain really is on Denial's side, because, or should be on Denial's side, up in that top lane, but somehow Woolite has been CSing against himself and is down in CS. There are a couple more extra minions in front of him from that top wave, but certainly not quite enough to close that gap fully.
Yeah, Wicked just being harassed by the Nautilus, getting the Riptide down. Did see a hit in that on 5-13. Maxlaw sitting right on top of a ward. He will be seen out here by Wicked, so just going to be wasting his time more than anything. We'll have to go over that top lane again and just see what Woolite was doing, if he just missed any uncontested
farm. Now there's a stack in front of him that is just about going to even it up. But other than that, really it's only the experience that he will have gained, which won't show its real effect for now, but it will start becoming a little bit more apparent when these two lanes match up against each other.
So, Beton Yoka now going into the opposing jungle, taking away some of the camps from Maxlaw, as he knew he was in the bottom lane trying to harass down Wicked. Now the teleport coming in from Smitty J in the top lane, trying to get this gank onto Wicked. He'll be flashing away, flash into the dredge line, and the damage as well from Wicked coming in for this kill combo, along with Jesse will be landing the last auto attack and giving that one over to Jesse for the first blood.
Very important it goes over to Jesse as well. You need to get this vein rolling. Nice play out by Gamers2 to realize that Wicked was in a situation where he was a little bit vulnerable. A risky one, though, because they were going against Wicked, who was just about to hit Meganar. Although this early on, obviously doesn't have that ultimate available, obviously can't do all that much, but definitely a lot committed into that exchange. 2 flashes plus that teleport, but it was worth it in the end. They got the flash from Wicked, they get the kill onto Vayne. Now they just have to use it.
Now we're seeing the roams as well from Hybrid and Maxlaw. The jungle and support synergy. Kind of seeing less of that recently, but did see it just there trying to harass Batting Orca, maybe even pick up a kill. Post in the mid lane, just been farming away against CosQ. Just going to get these minions with the Mercury Hammer. And we'll be probably heading back fairly soon, you'll have to feel, on 51 CS. Would like to get the tier fairly early, just like CosQ has done. That was a disconnect, by the way.
Yeah, that was the pause that we were waiting for at the beginning of the game, thanks to our small delay that is between live and here. But honestly, the other reason why I like that play is because the fact that in lane swaps, we've seen a lot less focus and emphasis being put on dragons in the early game. Much later first average dragon time for games with a lane swap. So the teleport is not really going to be necessary within the next amount of, well, for the cooldown timer on it for now. So Gamers2, they bring their dual lane up to the top side as well, prevent the Sivir Thresh from actually pushing in. And now you neutralize a lot of Denial's options, because they can't really afford to go for Dragon on the weaker side of the map. However, they can afford to gank top.
Yeah, and they're moving on to Hybrid first, breaking down the Titan's Wrath, and Woolite comes in with the autos, with the ricochets, and takes him out. A kill over to Denial, the first one for them of this game.
You know, for Hybrid, the theory was there, just clear out the ward really quickly and make sure you can get yourself back to lane. He even took Jesse along with him, but did not seem to be quite enough for Gamers2 in that situation. Good read from Betonyoke to come top, and honestly, this was a proactive play for Denial that we were really looking for out of Betonyoke. Without Kyrie there, how were they going to fare? They get a kill in the top lane, now they get the red buff as well. It's a good start for Denial.
In a much better position for sure. Denial heading into their own jungle, taking with the Crab here. Let's take a look at some of the itemization. Spoke about the mid lane with the tiers. And now, actually, Hybrid and Maxlaw going for this dragon. Got Jesse in tow, has picked up his Bilgewater Cutlass on his way to the Blade of the Ruin King. And it doesn't look like there's going to be a contest from Denial here, as Gamers2 are utilizing the strong side of their map with Hybrid and Jesse. So, not going to be seeing that. First dragon will go over to Gamers2 uncontested. And Wicked will try and get as much farm as he can in this downtime, as there was no one harassing him. Smitty heading into the top lane as well. Very similar in terms of what each team got. Slight advantage over to Denial, but that's pretty much everything. So Maxwell now donating over his blue buff to the Jace as well. That will be his play. And we just go back to normality. So not a whole lot happening in this early game. Just a couple kills traded back and forth. And that dragon from Gamers 2.
So, at this point in the game, the dual lanes are back down in the bottom side for Gamers 2, as pushing down onto Wicked. That leaves Smitty a little vulnerable in the top side. Ooh, will get himself out. Woolite could have committed to that, I feel. Heal, flash available, no equalizer for Smitty as he just used it, and they are both full health. I think maybe that's Woolite just being a little conservative in this early game. We know so he's a lot more comfortable in the mid-game when it comes to where he wants to get his leads.
Well, if you think about the amount of times that Woolite rocket jumped into the opponents yesterday, maybe just being a little conservative on that one, making sure he doesn't give up any kills, just in case Maxwell is around the corner. Bot lane trying to deny some farm using this tower. It will be taking a lot of these minions away. Hyrule will be there just before it goes down. 200 gold in the bank. Top lane will be doing the same with Woolite. I don't think he got the freeze from that. Betong, Yucca, and Wendelbo just farming out their jungle.
So, we spoke about before this game, Woolite at 10 minutes. What's his CS difference normally? We're about to hit that mark, so
ouch.
It should be an easy read here. I think I can do the maths on this one, and it's 8 right now.
Nice.
2 seconds to go. Got it. But that's a positive CS difference for himself, and his average is that he's down about 6 at this point. So this is a big swing. Yes, he is in a lane swap, didn't have to 2 versus 2, and was given a fair amount of free farm on his own. But still, the thought process is there behind it. Is Woolite is doing better than his average right now for Challenger Series. And the other thing to say about that is Jesse is playing Vayne, so it's
also
not quite as
another side to that coin.
Quite as consistent to just clear waves out quickly, but certainly it is there.
88% over the Gamers 2. Just off that one win. Denial, everything they've built up in Challenger Series doesn't matter to you at home. Yesterday, that's all that counts. I am the 12%.
That's so weird to hear yesterday is all that counts, because normally it's today, and Betong says today I'm ganking top again.
And Hybrid says today I'm just going to wander out of this, and I'm going to be good. Jesse was carrying on farming, poking down this turret, trying to get this one down. Wicked still trying to get all the farm that he can. Actually went for the Hex Drinker first as well, so preparing for the potential one-on-one against Smitty.
Well, he's not yet preparing for the Black Cleaver
Hurricane.
Yeah, Frozen Mallet Hurricane build. Again, Smitty finds himself in a 1v2, but this time does have Betting Yoke around. This time Woolite even chooses to trade further, getting greedy for that tower, but I think they can... they've kind of realized Maxwell hasn't shown himself out on the map anytime recently, so they have to play that one carefully.
Yeah. Taking the Lantern there. Betong Yucca is in the bot lane. He's also sighted by a ward. And he's also just chilling. He knows there's someone in the jungle. He can see it with the tremor sense. He doesn't know who it is. Wicked, though. Jumping away. Hybrid coming in with the full CC. Jesse looking for the lockdown with the Condemn as well. Doesn't even need it. Just needs the autos and the Silver Bolt and gets the kill onto Wicked. Bot lane will be also falling for Denial, while the top lane will be falling for Gamers 2 plus that kill. So net gain by Gamers 2.
It is, but Denial are ever so slightly in the lead themselves. So that is coming somewhat from that AD carry farm. In fact, AD carry and jungle farm in general, but... up in the wall, down in the bottom lane right now, Smitty finds himself 9 CS up on Wicked at the same time. So, real question here is itemization in mid lane. How is it differing? Easy answer for that one, as Cosq flashes away. I believe that was
the second disconnect. Yeah,
we had a slight disconnect there on Cosq as well, so he was kind of just flashing reactively, I believe, when he reconnected. But for Cosq, Haunting Guys has been picked up. Very different, but we'll get to that in a sec.
Ooh, flash into the knockup onto Maxwell, and all of the CC from Wendelbo should be able to secure the kill. Not for Warlike, Cosq's here. And he had to use the summoners before, but he'll get it with the Twin Fang.
Easy setup for Denial there. Yes, they used the teleport, but it's worth it in the end. They get a kill, and now they're able to kind of go back to things. Although now this does mean Wicked is on the wrong side of the map, and didn't actually participate in that fight. So the teleport itself didn't add up to anything. Now they have to get more from this if they want to actually get the worth for that. So scratch what I said at the beginning on that.
Yeah, and good luck with looking for the 1v1 against Smitty, who's just been farming away, picking up the measly large rod now as well. Jesse is still going to carry on farming. Wendelbo is in the top lane, looking for a potential hook perhaps. Maxdor is there to support. Is a 3-on-2. There's the equalizer to clear out the minion wave. That will be putting an end to all the schemes and plans from Denial, but will mean that Gamers 2, with the mana advantages in the bottom lane, are able to push this one in. Another minion wave coming in as well, so they're going to get a fair amount of damage onto this turret. Wicked is a little dubious about getting into this lane, since last time he was against Hybrid and Jesse, they killed him.
Yeah, didn't go so well for him last time. They're still pushing. Denial are going to answer with the mid lane push. This one should fall as well. I think it will be the trade, though, overall. And that isn't a particularly valuable trade for Denial. An inner turret for an outer turret is not exactly the best trade in the world.
It's still a trade.
It is a trade, but it's kind of...
It's a bad deal.
Yeah, it's a bad deal.
Make sure you get a receipt.
Yeah, and one thing that is not a bad deal for Smitty J is the reduction in price of the needlessly large rod. Makes it easier for Rumble to go back and pick it up. Rumble's one of the champions that we were kind of talking about during the week on who's going to benefit from some of these item changes. Not only the large rod changes, but the Leandri's Torment changes. When he does eventually look to get the Haunting Guys into Leandri's Torment, that extra damage on it is going to make him oh so much stronger in these little trades. So definitely a champion that has benefited in the patch 5.13. AP item reshuffle.
Reshuffle. That's pretty much what happened, but yeah, there's a lot of Rumble players in the LCS as well, and indeed in Challenger, who will be benefiting from this. May see some more of that. As Hooney told me, just play 1,000 games. That's how you get good as Rumble.
Yeah, although is that 1,000 games on one patch? Because now it's changed a bit.
That's
on
true, yeah.
This is a lot of games that you have to play on Rumble. if it is like 1,000
every
on each
patch.
Yeah, I would not want to be Hooney. That guy must really crank out Rumble
Hey, it's
games.
paid off.
True, true. I actually would.
Sick Rumble.
You'd be in the top LCS team in Europe. You'd be 14-0. Yep. Have a Life of Legends show after you. Like, man, it must be
living the life.
Must be awesome to be Hooney right now. But none of these 10 players are Hooney.
Nope.
Smitty J's trying to be at this point, but Wendelbo has been caught up by Hybrid.
Welcome to Nautilus, and welcome to CC. Wendelbo will be going down here with the Ignite ticking down. Perks trying to get away from this is burning down. Kozq gets slam dunked by Perks, and he'll be clearing out this ward. Dude, there's actually members of the enemy team in front of you who you may also want to hit over the ward, but still a 2-for-1 over to Gamers 2.
And now they're looking for mid-turret as well. What can Denial do to answer back? I was going to say maybe Woolite can keep himself alive, but didn't actually spell shield the Shock Blast. Now he's in a fair amount of danger, but I think the slow is going to be wearing off. Perks looking for the Hail Mary shot. Can he get it?
Oh! Got him.
Got him. That's two Shock Blasts that Woolite just took to take him out from about 3/4 health. Spell Shield was late on the first one and no Spell Shield available for the second one. It's a tough read, but, I mean, should have really got one.
Very nice. Ooh, 50% in from Perks' Shock Blast. Jace turns out quite strong.
Well, Perks says, I know you guys just reshuffled AP items, but hey, whoa.
AD is where it's at.
AD is where it's at mid lane. That's exactly the story for Gamers 2 right now, and this is becoming a repeat performance of yesterday's game, because it was a fight like this that really turned it around for Gamers 2. Yesterday it was to do with Denial kind of throwing themselves into a turret. This time, Wendelbo out of position. Gamers 2 just turned the fight, take out the carry early, and just from there, Woolite just, again, he's dealing damage to Jesse, but the fight's already over, and he has to now respect the rest of the follow-up damage from Gamers 2.
Yeah, and Smitty was just really wanting to farm these walls here. But Wicked, despite the early game, I was going to say despite the early game, but he's actually slightly further behind of Smitty and is not very tanky, specifically when it comes to the armor stat, because as users saw, Perks is able to half health him with one Shock Blast. This is going to become a serious issue for Denial over the next couple of minutes. The small gold advantage, I say small, it's around 2,000 gold for Gamers 2, plus these 2 tower advantage, plus the dragons. So they are significantly ahead in this game. And what are they going to translate it into? Because none of the outer turrets up. They have the top turret to maybe go for. They have broken the middle and bottom turret ring. So they could potentially go for that. Jesse is up there to potentially set it up. Mid lane though, CosQ leaning it against Perks. It just takes one shock blast to send CosQ packing, as one more will take him down. Has picked up Leandri's Torment first, actually. Yeah. Is the most interesting thing about this.
It is. It's an item we seldom saw on Cassiopeia, unless you're against a real tanky team, because typically Cassiopeia has decent damage against high health targets anyway when it gets to the late game. Now the addition of the blasting one rather than the Amp Tome and just the added AP makes it a very effective item when it comes to the amount of money you put into it. So certainly is an item we're going to have to get used to seeing a lot more, especially when you pair that with the Rally's changes, which I'm expecting to be probably one of the next 2 items on Cassiopeia. The fact that Twin Fang now applies an incredibly heavy slow. I think it's 40% on the target. And with the slow changes, it now means that, okay, while they don't stack anymore, you still, just with a heavy slow, it's kind of tough to get rid of them.
Yeah, very difficult. Actually, maybe even was expecting a Rally's first item, as Leandro is usually the item we pick up a little bit later, since it's all percent based. And yes, there is a little bit of extra AP on it now. Perks doesn't manage to land a shock blast here, but don't worry, there'll be another one in around 10 seconds. Jesse, there's a team here trying to get the auto attacks down to the turret, but Wendelboe is playing the zoning game. Wicked is in another lane. He is also with the teleport up, and is also just trying to keep his Narbar. I was going to say he's keeping his Narbar just at the right place, but actually goes right into Mega Gnar, so not expecting a fight.
Yeah, I don't think actually DNL were looking for one either, especially with the Rek'Sai ultimate used bottom. There was really nothing that they could do. I expect Denial to now loop out, get vision for Dragon, and look to take it, but whoa, Gamers2, this is an... Okay, they heard the Rek'Sai ult, they know Gnar is bottom lane, and knew that there was only one potential place for Rek'Sai to go on the map, and didn't see him cross through it. So this is actually a very... it's risky, but at the same time, I feel like G2 read the situation fairly well.
Well, it's going to be close, and it does go over to Maxlore, the Smiting King. Betong Yucca will be falling down. Wendelboe also comes in to assist, but also gets taken out in the meat grinder, with Woolite somehow just falling down in the background, was just in the wrong place. And Gamers2 net the Baron from just a fantastic read on the game, and now will be pushing the top turret.
Yeah, that's a great read from Gamers2 overall. Wicked had nowhere to teleport to, was another massive problem. G2 had already set up vision control around the Baron and the topside jungle, so really no key area for Wicked to get himself into that fight. Left his team against the numbers, and honestly, that's some split-second decision-making we rarely see from the likes of Denial or Gamers2. At this point, it was down to the 1v1 smite fight, and Betong Yoke and Maxlore. You know, after Maxlore stealing away Impaler's objectives last week, I would not have wanted to be back Betong Yoke in that situation.
I found out what happened to Warlight. He tried to 1v1 Perks. It didn't go so well. Wendelboe and Wicked now top lane. Wicked did not TP into that fight, so he still has it. This is another time where Wicked has held on to his teleport as well while split pushing, which is interesting.
It is, but honestly, Wicked has departed his regular build as well.
Incredible.
I mean, so there is reasoning for this.
Oh, yeah.
He's not against the Hecarim. He's also not in the easiest of matchups when it comes to against the Rumble, so he can't really afford to be squishy all the time, because Rumble kind of turns around, throws on Flame Spitter and says, okay, you want to go?
You want to go, mate?
At this point. So, and the fact that Smitty J is just fairly even and ahead on farm, plus the assists, and has the Zhonya's Hourglass anyway, so it's not like you're really going to outdamage him without the risk of dying. So Wicked has changed his build completely because of that. This is more towards the quote-unquote standard way of going Gnar, although it actually hasn't left him all that tanky. He's got a Hex Drinker and a Randuin's Omen, and you can see that Wicked, when he is getting attacked, is taking a lot of damage. This time, though, Woolite does Spell Shield, the Shock Blast. I feel like that was an easier one to read.
Yes.
It was a little bit further away with minions. Like,
back off. Okay. That, again, did not find its mark onto Wicked. But again, just one has to land, and someone is losing a lot of HP.
Also, G2 know they just have to stall for a little bit of time. SmittyJ pushing in the top lane, bottom lane will just about slowly push in. Will I use his spell shield? And that wouldn't have actually hit, but I think he was worried that it would have, so
now this mid-flight.
Some extra attack. This isn't wanted, Pulse. this is not that film, thank goodness. Ooh, CosQ, however, has been chunked out.
Felt like a curved mid-flight.
That was exactly what Gamers 2 needed in this situation, and honestly, they're just playing the patient game. Yes, their Baron buff will run out fairly soon, but they have such a good lead against Gamers 2. There's no, against Denial, there is no real way for Denial engaging this without some kind of like a Cassiopeia ult flash, and even then, that is a real risky play to make without Gamers 2 making a colossal error.
But look how patiently Gamers 2 are playing this. They're not just like running in, they're not taking the ex nihilo approach, they're just poking away with perks, waiting for the shock blast to land, and then getting some damage on the turret.
And the other thing Gamers 2 can do is with Wicked being on this now, you can see just gets chunked out in mini Na. As long as you play around his Narbar very well in front of these turrets, you've not really got anything to worry about, because even if Denial engage, if Wicked hasn't managed his Narbar correctly, there's no real way of them having follow-up engage. So Gamers 2 right now, they're just playing for time. They know they've got the Dragons under their control. Dragon is due up in about 3 minutes, I believe. So Gamers 2 right now are just going to keep Denial in their base for a little while longer, then look to back off, establish vision control, get themselves the 4th Dragon of the game. And at that point, Gamers 2 just go, okay, well, we know that we can get a 5th one, so let's just play for this. We'll see if Gamers 2 do play this patiently, or if they drag Denial out. They could look to turn here, should they want to.
Well, they are getting out of their base.
They've drawn Denial quite a way out.
Blasts. And Hybrid turns around, looks for the engage, and that's the spell shield used by Warlight, and that means that the ultimate will be coming in by Hybrid. He flashes into the Lantern, but dies mid-flight as he tries to get back to his ally. And Jesse is off to the side, takes a twin fang. Wendelbo sees the opportunity, but is going to be taken down before it's able to be fully realized. CosQ, though, with the 1 and 2. The 1-2 punch. Wicked now following up onto Hybrid, gets the slow down. Betong Yoka trying to get the knockup. SmittyJ turns around, perked in with the dunk from the Q, and Wicked is now alone against these 3 players. Comes in, the flash away by Perks. The mechanics come in, and the double kill for Smitty.
Really good fight from Gamers 2 to end that. A bit of a blip in the middle with CosQ getting great damage down in response, but that's going to be the inhibitor going down for Gamers 2 if Perks sticks around to make sure they can tidy this one up. Warlight is up, so they actually don't decide to stay, which I think is the right option given the circumstances. Now they're looking to back out, but that fight all stemmed from Denial really weirdly chasing outside of their base. I can understand you want to push and try and find where Gamers 2 are going, but Warlight went so far forward at that point and forced to use his spell shield so early on just from the hook. You know the ult is coming. He knew he had to block for CosQ, or CosQ was dead there, but Warlight puts himself completely out in the open, then tries to get himself out of the fight and puts himself further into it. And a really weird set. But this is Jess's over-aggressive. Good play by Wendelbo to kind of exploit that, and CosQ is able to turn some damage around, but both marksmen in this fight, a little bit weird decision-making when it comes to it.
Yeah, definitely for sure in this fight. We just saw this trail on the SmittyJ turned around. It's like, well, I'm going to overheat, and Perks comes in with the huge damage from 2 of the skies and just bats away Wicked. You also see this final flash away by Perks. Incredible reactions as the Mega Null came into the transform and the ult. So Perks just showing off his mechanics in this one.
Yeah, showing them off. If you got them, you may as well use them, I guess. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to say on that. You wouldn't go, no, I'm not going to mechanically outplay you. I'm going to play like I don't know what I'm doing. But never.
Is that what you do?
That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, Gamers 2 know exactly what they're doing in this game. They have been so calculated in just the decision-making and their game plan. It was just siege, don't have to engage, we just push, we poke, we take some objectives, we take some dragons, take a drink, and then, yeah, close out the game. Yeah. That's pretty much what they've been doing so far with the 9,000 gold lead.
So far. We'll see whether Denial have got anything left in their bag of tricks. They do have a Cassiopeia who now has the Seraph's Embrace along with the Liandry's Torment. They're on a ward though, and they are going to get chunked out. So, however, look at top lane. Jesse is top. No way of crossing up with this. Will Denial engage? It's an obvious one.
Oh,
great barrel.
Maxlaw's barrel for the disengage. He will get hooked and probably taken down by the sheer amount of damage by Cosq, but a great equalizer comes out, and Perkz is able to get the damage down that he needs to, looking for the acceleration gate, but Smitty J is also locked up, has to go into the Zhonya's. Jesse has rotated in from the top lane. Betong Yoka taken out. Wicked comes in for the slam against the wall onto the 2 carries. Woolite will be shredded by Smitty J, and Perkz will remain at the sidelines of the fight and output the damage. A 3-for-5 in favor of Gamers 2, despite the engage from Denial.
And at that point, Gamers 2, they had the equalizer completely split up the Denial lineup, and they were buying time for Jesse to get into the fight. Ends up going in their favor, even though the equalizer wasn't exactly dealing the most amount of damage in the world. But now Perkz will secure an inhibitor from it, and really Denial, if they can't win a fight like that where they have the numbers advantage for so long, it is not a good sign for how this game is going to play out. Let's take another look back right at the start. So Jesse is all the way over on the top side, and look at where Nautilus is. Still not quite into this fight, but they're buying time. However, Denial stack. Good split up here from the equalizer, and Smitty J comes in from the side, just has too much damage between Smitty J and Perkz. This looks like such a good position for Denial, and Smitty J turns the damage on. There is really not a lot you can do from that situation, as Gamers 2 kind of make mincemeat out of Denial in that setup.
Yeah, welcome to the Yordle Inferno, sponsored by Rumble.
Those are the most awkward and annoying advertisements. If we had a advertising Super
This is like Neon
Rumble
Lights above
skin.
him. This is like advertising different like brands of noodle or something. Delicious.
Fourth Dragon goes over to Gamers 2. They're looking for the Baron as well, as it has just come up. So it's a very easy set of decisions here for Gamers 2. D-Ward, poke down, take the Baron. We know we can already take it, so no real reason to do anything but look for it again. But they're not quite in position. Smitty J's up in the top lane, Perkz isn't quite with them, so they do now have to protect these pink wards they just placed. Denial should be able to get that one in the river, although it's a bit of a dangerous one. Wicked did show in the bottom lane, has got teleport up, so would be available for Aura fight, should they look for one, but so has Smitty J.
I honestly question whether Denial will win a fight if it gets to it, and how many they have to have in terms of the numbers to go up against Gamers 2, because we just saw a 4v3.
Yeah, I mean, important items completed, though. The Liandry's Torment onto Rumble, we talked about how strong that's going to be. That's a massive, massive factor for this fight.
Oh, but all the engage tools are used by Gamers 2, and the good disengage actually from Denial as they return fire. The Woolite spell shields the Shock Blast, but now there is no vision, and Wendelbow will face check the bush and get hooked. The flash, the body slam onto Wicked as well. He'll be locked out of the fight, turns into Meganar, throws them away, but Maxlor is after you. He doesn't have the body slam flash anymore, but the minions want blood, and Perkz wants even more of it from Wicked. He's going to go through the Merc Walls. He's going to say hi to them. He's going to turn around. Oh, takes one auto attack. He is so close from death, but gets the hyper from the passive, but gets sniped out by Perkz. Call him Hitman. He'll be taking him out on this one. A 3-0 actually over to Gamers 2. They'll be taking the Baron, and now it's just a question of how do they close out the game.
The rest of the team didn't care about that last kill, because it was all about the Baron to make sure that they can finish this one off. 21 kills to 8 currently on the board for Gamers 2, and maybe it looks like with some time now, the Gamers 2 lineup seems to have settled. They took a good re-engage from that little fight we just saw a couple of minutes ago, and are really in a good position to close this one out.
And this will be a 2-0 week for Gamers 2 over Denial, a team who was looking to challenge for first and second spot as we came into the season. Then after the changes, looked a little bit wobbly, then fixed a lot of their issues, then subbed out Kyrie, and now looking shaky again. And
right.
Gamers 2 have just looked better and better. After last week, where Maxlor had a good game, had a bad game, now has just had a whole lot of good games.
Yeah.
And Hybrid as well has just fit into the lineup. So Gamers 2 honestly looking very good.
And one thing for Gamers 2 that really has been a non-factor in this game, and It honestly has nothing to do with the player. Oh no, we're going to go for the engage anyway.
Oh, Hybrid has been caught out, but Wendelbo has been as well. The body slam will get the lockup onto Denial, and everyone is just dying left, right, and center. Jesse with the kite. Wicked gets onto the back line, but he's just got no damage, got no tanky stats, and will just be going down when compared to Jesse. Woolite now, 1-on-4. Gonna die. Not a lot he can do. Max Law now coming in with the rest of the team to close out this game, and that's us. Just Denial throwing in the towel up against Gamers2, not even going to give them the pleasure of killing the Nexus, and a 2-0 week over to Gamers2.
Gamers2 looking so good from that setup, and you know, the whole game was in their control, and just nothing really slipped out of their favor. You could even see at the end, Denial knew the game was done, just kind of going for one last engage, seeing if they could get something from it, and they couldn't, ultimately. Even with Smitty J being kind of later to the fight because he had to teleport in, did not matter. Gamers2 with a convincing 2-0 over Denial this week.
Yeah, the second game maybe even more than the first game there, Stress. We did want to take a look at a couple of replays from that game as well to highlight that. Specifically, there was one where Gamers2 just straight up catch Denial in the river. It's near the mid lane around 16 minutes. And it's specifically how Jesse just stuns CosQ against the wall and then straight up avoids the ult. You'll be seeing it right here.
Yeah, we'll watch out for that as watching for Jesse. But this fight, it was so similar to yesterday as well. We saw the play from Jesse, but I mean, this is so similar to what we saw yesterday from Gamers2 and Denial, where just Denial were getting a couple of kills at the beginning. Gamers2 go, okay, we're just gonna take a fight and win, basically set ourselves up to win the game. But this was the sneaky Baron that Gamers2 were looking at the 20-minute mark. And Denial come in and try and steal, but this is just too far gone already. Gamers2, they've already got it. And it is just a straight up, almost a whitewash at the Baron pit. By that point, the game was already pretty much in the books for Gamers2.
I mean, it wasn't really a fight. It was just them walking into the Baron and dying, and Wicked being bot lane and not being able to get in there. Specifically looking at some of the players, Perks in that game had an extremely good game as Jace. He had 35,000 damage on that champion. Look at the scoreline, 12-0 and 8. Just incredible, honestly, against Denial. You saw how much damage that was doing against the targets with the Shock Blast. Right. And they played around the Jace pick really well.
I think they did. I really think they did. And they played around the enemy composition as well. I don't know how I feel about CosQ's Cassiopeia on the other side. Yeah. I feel like, especially with the Jace available, it was a fairly easy kind of thought process to go to. Just pick the Jace, poke down the Cassiopeia. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, honestly, Jesse as Vayne had a decent game. We were kind of questioning how he would do going into this. This is the point I was going to kind of make at the end, which maybe not particularly fair to Jesse, but I don't feel like Jesse's Vayne won or lost the game. Yeah, for Gamers2. I honestly feel like unfair. I don't think it's unfair, but I think that Smitty J and Perks set the game up to have been already won by the time Gamers2 would have required Jesse to win the game. He had some great solo plays. We saw the stuns in fights. We saw the damage towards the end in the last fight. So it was solid, but the rest of his team had already won the game way
you just
before.
Don't need to make a play.
Sometimes
that is the right thing to do in a game. So yeah, we'll see in future weeks what Jesse can do. But that is 2 games down. So with 1 match remaining in week 4, we have to kick it to a short break.